And 2024 is coming to an end. Hard to believe how quickly that came upon us. But you have found Quiet Please, the golf podcast, and I am Alan Depew. As always, we have an illustrious panel of experts in the golf industry. If you're listening to us on our podcast, we really appreciate that. Go ahead and give us a 5 star if you don't mind. And please respond with any questions, shoot us some notes. We always like to hear from people that are out there. If you're watching over on the YouTube channel, which is gaining a lot of traction, we'd really appreciate that. Subscribe, share it with your friends. As always, I mentioned him. I'll work counterclockwise to my left. Mr. B.E. Brendan Elliott, noted golf course author, columnist, instructor extraordinaire. Hello, B.E.
Good evening.
Good evening. Andy Hydorn, the ever-present one.
I've been more present lately, so I appreciate that.
Yes, yes, I can say that once again.
Yep.
And hailing from Kentucky by way of Boston, Florida, and other parts, Bobby Baldessari. Boston Bob, how are
With,
you?
with my winter beard growth going,
I
matching you.
see. You know what, folks? See, that's the reason right there to watch the YouTube channel to see
Exactly.
to track that. I said I'm going for the Santa Claus effect. I mentioned it last show. We did the pub crawl, and I dressed as Santa again. I actually brought a satchel. We had some gifts for kids, and you know what? I think I'm making the decision, maybe July of next year, to start growing it out. I certainly got the gray in there, BE.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Andy. Andy.
Hey, we all need someone who's an outlier, and that's you. Okay.
What a clean cut.
Yeah.
He's so clean cut and cute.
All right, so hey, here's what we got, guys, and as normal, we're going to spin out off the range, I'm sure, at some point here. Rise and fall, live golf, long-term golf impact, the majors, any historic moments, record-breaking performances, and Andy's favorite topic, golf technology. BE, I'm going to lead off with you. Live Golf continues to make waves across the golfing world. What started as a controversial breakout league can, is kind of settled into the landscape in some respects. Uh, how is it continuing to influence shaping? What's your thoughts? I mean, let's look back at now 18 months worth of history. The live effect on professional golf. What say you, sir?
Um, I still think everybody's in their camp, whether they like it or dislike it, the concept that is, and the politics that play behind it. But like you said, I think it's just kind of settled into it is what it is. And many are hoping, I wrote about this a couple weeks ago, are hoping that some kind of coming together can happen so we can get things like the showdown where we can see guys from both live in the PGA Tour playing together. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I don't see any indication of that, especially when there's the uphill battle with the U.S. government. So we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out.
Andy, do you think that the lives global reach, its influence on, attracting some top names. You touched on it, Fox Sports. The rumors is that they're going to land a contract. Is that going to drive, players' careers, tournaments? Is it going to spin off, or is it going to force them together?
Yeah, I think the first point that I'll talk about, which I agree on totally, is that live in the United States is 100% different than live is everywhere else, right? Because it's the live versus PGA Tour thing that exists here, and it's been, somewhat entertaining, somewhat ridiculous from time to time. But I think in other parts of the world, live doesn't have that same stigma that it has here. So I believe that there's definitely some good that has come from, you know, live exposing themselves to some of those other markets. But I will say that um, the best players in the world regardless of the money aspect of it, still want to play on the PGA Tour. I think that's the most competitive landscape still. I don't know what lies ahead in the future for competition, so it'll be interesting.
Bobby, there's a lot of truth in that. I know you have some connections with Australia, some things, other things in golf you're working on. I mean, LIV is really appreciated down there. I mean, of the lucrative contracts, and I mean, is that changing how people view their careers? Or if you're like Bubba or some Ogle, where's Ogletree? Hashtag.
Yeah.
Um, maybe where your careers are spiraling in a different direction.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of the people in the golf industry in Australia. I'm helping three different products, try to get exposed over here in the last couple of years. So have this pipeline down there. They do look at LIV a little bit different with regard to Norman's a countryman of theirs, a mate, a bloke, but
Yeah.
not, they still see him as divisive and things like that. But I agree with Andy's point that the United States, you get the PGA Tour. It's not saturated in every city, but it's around the United States. When you leave this country, there's a lot of areas that are thirsting for some decent players, some professional tours. So that brings a little something up there. I always go back to that line I heard years ago, which can apply to LIV because on the PGA Tour, you're trying to get some money and try to get in the record book. In the majors, you're trying to get in the history books. Now, if you go to LIV, you're almost out of both of those books.
Couldn't
Events
agree
and
more.
venues, Andy Heidorn.
I couldn't
Events
agree
and
more.
venues.
I mean, he's 100% right there, and I still feel like the fatal flaw with LIV is it's a 54 hole shotgun with no cut. That's the fatal flaw.
Yeah.
They kowtowed too much to the players, thinking that we're gonna lure these players by making their life really easy and simple and rich, right?
And the caddies.
Yeah, and the caddies too. But I do feel like that's their fatal flaw.
Would you like to know if the caddies are still being put up in the five stars 12, 18 months later?
I don't think they are. Wouldn't think they are.
Yeah, I don't believe it's 5-star, but it's not, you know,
It's not Super 8. I mean,
not
Red Roof
not the
Inn.
Bates Motel.
hey,
Yeah.
I have my red ready card. Just not gonna lie to you.
I don't think we've seen the fallout yet, though. Like the guys that were the big guys that left the tour that are running out of their chances to play in some of the majors. That's going to start coming up where we're not going to see a Cam Smith or a DJ or well, DJ will always see at Augusta, but the ripple effects will still continue.
You're right. Those guys, the clock is ticking on some of those guys. Now, the Brookses and Brysons who have had success since they went to LIV, they've forged their own way, but it's harder to forge your way. And if you haven't had any luck in the majors,
Yeah,
the clock's ticking.
yeah, they punched their ticket. They renewed their
Yeah.
seat at the table for a couple more years,
Yep.
but BE hit the nail on the head. I think Cam Smith in particular comes to mind. What did he win? 23 or 22 Open Championship? I think it was 23, right? 23 Open Championship, so he's eight till age 60 there. But what is that, Bobby, Mr. Historian? 5 years or is it 10 years for the other majors?
Summer,
Some are five, some are
yeah, PGA I think was changing. I mean, Masters is also as an age cut now. US Open, I think, is
Didn't he win the Masters too?
can?
what's that?
He won the Masters, didn't he?
No.
Oh, he
Hmm.
did. See, they leave your stream of consciousness when they leave.
Yeah, pretty good event one year. That one year he finished pretty decent, but a lot of people thought he was going to win there because of the putting, and he's got a great short game.
Well, since Andy, I love how you tee them up for me. The segments. Segment two, the majors, historical moments. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Record breaking. Let's look back to look ahead. Okay? It's like Back to the Future. Um, Doc. It's from the doc. I just happened to see that clip the other day. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Scotty cuts his hand, right? Put some glass in his hand this past week. Hovland injured as well. Any historical moments standing out to any of you three about 2024? What comes up? What shocked the world? Potential breakthrough performances at Augusta? What's your thoughts, Andy?
I mean, I think that 2024 produced two incredible seasons for two incredible players and Scheffler and Schauffele. Um, Scheffler's was bordering on historic. And there's not many people that have won multiple majors in a year. So to have both those guys have those type of seasons is pretty rare.
And if I'm going to interrupt you, you could argue that maybe the best drama of all of them was actually down at Pinehurst, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So, as the men's majors look at it, I mean, it was a great season for the majors.
Totally.
Yeah, it was strong. I think, and even Tiger making the cut at the Masters, that was sort of no newsworthy in itself there. Definitely agree, Xander. The two majors, Scotty being Scotty with just a year he had. When you had a pretty good year, when now you're getting compared to Tiger on all these metrics and data, so that was pretty strong there. Lydia Ko, I think, came back. She had a pretty strong year too. Obviously, Nelly. So it's a lot of good stuff going on this year. I know we'll get to a few 2025 predictions coming up later, but it's going to be hard to top some of this stuff.
Well, you threw a little teaser out there. You got to throw it over to our mi amigo over there, Mr. Elliott. I mean, Tiger, PNC. Does he come back this year at Augusta again? Are you going to be camped out watching him?
Yes, I will. Andy, earmuffs. I was thoroughly encouraged by what I saw, and I keep saying I'm not gonna chase the rabbit and go with what everybody, the fans are saying, the Tiger fans, but he looked healthy for 3 days, walking most of the time. And he's really downplaying. Sure, he's not tournament sharp, but he's really downplaying the performance he put on. I thought he hit the ball very well. Short game looked good. Obviously, he's well back of these guys that are playing, 15 tournaments a year. But this is probably the last shot of him to kind of do anything, I would think.
All right, Andy.
No, look,
Do I need earmuffs?
nope, my earmuffs were not on for any of that segment. Thank you. But I agree. I mean, he looked great. He's been here before though, right? I mean,
Yep.
people love to say how good he looks. And we all know that the only way to be successful is to play and to play frequently. And does he have it in him? We don't know. We don't know. I mean, he certainly it was nice to see. Let's just put it that way. It was nice to see him, really kind of look like he had command over what he was doing and usually when he tees it up in the PGA Tour, he starts out the week like he has command of what he's doing. And then it kind of, crumbles a little bit on him because
Yeah,
that's what tournament golf is.
well, you see, yeah, it's like he would get fatigued as the week went along, and this time let's deviate. I'm going to spin us off the majors for a second. Let's talk about the PNC. I mean, we were texting our little group thread. I love that weekend.
Yep.
Love it.
I mean, it was great this year. You have, what was it, 6 teams tied at the top of the leaderboard on Sunday morning. How about little Will McGee and Annika? I mean, in fuego.
My favorite player in the game right now.
He's got to teach some of these guys that have lost their putting touch to putt like a kid.
Yep.
He wasn't just making them, he was like bouncing it in the back of the hole and down. which is what that's cool.
A la Tom Watson, yes.
Mhm.
But the ageless one, Bernard, I mean,
Guy's incredible.
Okay, are we ready to toss this one out and talk about it?
as long as we can come back to the majors. But yes, go ahead, oh plum one.
Well, we can do it later if you like.
No, no, I want to hear it. You teased it with us.
So I think people were bitching about the different tees and all that, and
Oh, here we
he
go.
has he has every right. He's 67 years old. He has
Yes.
every right to play a different set of tees. The one thing I just wish they would have done differently is they wouldn't have had a 90-yard difference on the last hole.
Correct.
Like I think that was a swing and a miss. But I think the rest of it, people just need to shut up. Because it's again, he's 67. Just because he's great doesn't mean that he shouldn't get the benefits of the other 67-year-olds.
Because he's put in the time, Bobby, and he's done the work, and he's still pounding it out there, 250 carry, roll out probably 270, 71, I think they were saying most of the time. Okay. So he's got a little bit better than a 69-degree shoulder turn.
Just a little bit. I mean, I would say you still have to get it in the hole. You still have to putt it out. He's still playing tournament conditions. He's playing with his son, who's a financial analyst. It's not like,
Who
you know,
went to UPenn on golf playing golf? It's not like he's not a stick.
right. Yeah. I mean,
How good
yeah,
was his swing, by the way?
Yeah.
some,
And by the way, I don't want sorry, Bob. I just thought of like that. What was that third hole when they missed from like 3 feet? Both of them. I was like, oh, it's in the genes. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I agree with Andy. That last hole I thought was the only one little inequitable type of thing, but it was exciting. I know everybody's going to be rooting for Tiger and his son. That's the Hollywood ending that everybody wanted. Even Bernhard talked about it at the end. Sorry to crash that party, but I agree with you guys. I love that event. Love what it's all about. Hope it continues to grow and evolve because it's pretty neat.
What was low key awesome about Tiger too? When the Langers won, he was genuinely happy.
Yes.
Like he was not being a sourpuss. He wasn't like Bryson pulling his earpiece out. Like he genuinely looked like he enjoyed it. He competed and he was happy for those guys that they won.
I think he was, yeah, I agree. I think two things. I think he felt really good about Charlie. Charlie did make some good putts, hit some great shots. I think as a dad, he felt great. And I think he just likes being in that arena. I just think that was fun for him, and you try your best.
So to all three of you who are exceptional players and teachers of the game, Charlie, it's been what, like 4, 5, 6 years? I can't remember how many years we've been talking about his evolution, but where's he at today?
I think John Cook said something that resonated with me that so he's not top guy, not top kid on the AJGA, and his score junior golf board scoreboard ranking is decent. He's a decent player in Florida. Um, but he's not the upper echelon. But I look at kids like Sam Ryder, who I saw in high school, and he was a good player in high school. I would have never imagined he'd, be keeping his card for how many ever years he's been doing it, like 8, 9 years he's kept his card. Charlie legitimately, with all the things he has at his disposal, I think he really legitimately has a shot. I think the problem is when he gets into US Junior AMs or US Amateur or some of these bigger events, there's the circus around him, and he's
Mhm.
always going to have that, and he doesn't know how to handle that. Um, and he plays great in high school tournaments because there's not the circus around him. He plays good in this arena because dad's there to kind of shield him. Um, he's going to have to, I don't know how Tiger's going to teach that. I think it's just something you have to experience and get through. But that's going to be the factor in my mind that's going to keep him from doing something.
Well, you remember earlier this year when he was I can't remember, it was one of his first qualifiers, and literally there was a massive crowd. If I believe, and I'm trying to throw shade at the South Florida PGA, as who I've got friends in the South Florida PGA, but they could have done a better job controlling the situation,
Yeah.
perhaps, or anticipating. But he had fans coming up and asking for autographs in the fairway while the kid's trying to play.
I think it was the US Open local qualifier.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So no shade at the South Florida PGA, just the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
South Florida PGA or the Florida Golf Association runs those qualifiers.
Okay. So shade of
Right.
both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shade everywhere.
Except
But
off my forehead off right
yeah,
now. That's why I had to turn that's why I had to
no,
turn the ring light off there,
there's no
Andy.
shade there.
No
Um,
shade.
but I will say this, Brendan, I think you're spot on. Kind of quoting the John Cook talking points, because I feel like he hasn't quite got to where the other kids are, but my God, he's got the tools.
Oh yeah.
Like his golf swing looks to me just so good. He's got the speed, like he's got the tools. So if all those intangibles ever develop and he clicks in, you know, it'll be fun to watch for sure.
And Bobby, how about the line of the entire weekend? Charlie, you're so negative.
Yeah. From the sister. I know. That's great. That's a nice dynamic that to me shows they're pretty grounded, and the interaction in there. And I'll add in about this Charlie thing. He's whatever he ends up being, it's going to be on his timeline and
Yeah.
his organic growth. The media and a lot of people artificially want to say he should be at this because Tiger was at this. They're two separate individuals, two separate humans. There's no way in the world he's mechanically going to be in that same spot. You can't just like a robotic thing. He's
You
just going to be wherever he is.
You mean he wasn't shouldn't have already won 2 U.S. Junior AMs and already been knocking on the door at the U.S. AM at this point?
Those are the things
Failure.
Tiger regrets. He regrets not having the childhood that he wants his son to have now.
Yep.
And that could lead to the, you know, great outcomes for him when he decides to do whatever he wants to do in business or playing golf. Is he had a childhood. He wasn't pressured. None of that stuff was there.
BE, to your point, Billy Hurley grew up in the Leesburg, Virginia area where I was running a course. Bobby knows that at that time. Billy was good. Billy got better as into his senior year. I think I had actually maybe even moved to another club at that point. Billy made himself a great player and then eventually a tour player. So and players develop at different times. And I'm going to go a little hockey here. I got to throw this in for a second. I don't know if anybody caught it. UNLV's club hockey team knocked off D1 national champions Denver 2 nights ago in
Did they
Denver.
really?
Yeah, so there you go. Club hockey. Shout out to club hockey, ACHA. Boom.
Hot goalie.
Very hot goalie, actually. Yeah. So, yes, players develop at different times. So, PNC, overall success, we all say thumbs up.
Always.
Okay, thumbs up. So let's spin it back then, Andy Hydorn. Does Rory complete the Grand Slam this year?
I think he's going to win all four of them this year.
Get the hell out of here. Come on.
Because I pick him for all four every year. Look, at this stage of the game, Rory is such an enigma because we all know and have watched him be so damn good, but fall short so many times. But I'm gonna keep picking because it's gonna happen. He's gonna do it.
Bobby?
I was going to say if not this year, I think he gets it. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's getting both of them this year, or Is he one short or two short?
No, he's just a master short.
Just
This
one short.
Masters, yeah.
Yeah.
So BE is going to be standing up behind the 18th green, and Tiger's going to come up in the final group with Rory, and he's not going to know what way to be root on this one.
Oh, come on. Come on.
You're
If that was the scenario, it would be rooting for Tiger all day long. Rory. I don't know. He played so good on the DP World Tour. I mean, he just dominated that this past year. And so did Rahm was pretty solid too. We'll get to him later, but I think he just has to go with this mindset of just treating it like another tournament. I think he just puts so much into the Masters that if anything gets derailed just a little bit, he's toast. He's done. And he's got to just get out of that mindset and just play the golf that he knows he can play.
Well, it was I can't remember if it was you or Andy that said it. I mean, can anybody catch Scheffler? I talked about this at the golf course the other day. I mean, I don't. Yeah, he's being compared to Tiger, and the difference is longevity. You can make comparisons on the short term. Is anybody really? Is he head and shoulders above, or just head above, or? And I'll throw this also while you're pondering that one. Can you say the same thing about Nelly Corder? My God, look how good did she look at it? Huh? Andy's shaking his
I
head now.
mean, yeah, you can. I don't think they're the same. I think Nelly had a streak that was incredible this year. Um, but Scottie's been doing this for 3 years now. And every time it looked like he was maybe gonna cool off a little bit, he hasn't. So I think what's going on with him right now is potentially historic. Um, and I don't think if Nelly does this for a couple more years, yeah, okay. But there's a lot of people in this game. We've seen it. Remove Scottie from the picture, everyone would be talking about Xander right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But and we've seen it with Rom, we've seen it with Brooks, right? We've seen it with DJ to a certain extent with Jordan. But in the ladies' game, we've seen it, with Nelly, we've seen it with Jin Young Ko.
Hmm.
There's there's always that person who's super hot. What Scotty's done is more than that.
The thing with Nelly that stuck with me was an interview. I think it was after the Annika. Um, they asked her what her highlight of the year was, and she had talked about her sister having a kid, and that we've had that discussion before
Yeah.
about the difference between the LPGA and the PGA Tour is, I mean, you look at Ochoa, she was as dominant as anybody, and she retired. Like everybody was like, whoa. Or Lexi.
Yanni Sang.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's different. There's that motherly instinct, and you got that feeling when she made that comment that that was one of her highlights of the year was being an aunt.
That's a great point. I mean, yes, we've talked about that before, but that's a great point. I mean, the disruption for a positive, a readjustment of
Sure.
life priorities. But I mean, the LPGA players is different in that regard.
But Scotty, to him real quick, I mean, the only thing that's going to derail him is
Is Scotty?
cut, cutting his hand, carving a turkey or whatever he did.
I believe it was a holiday ornament with made of glass, is what I think I heard. Bobby?
That does suck that he's going to be out for the first couple weeks.
Well, everybody's who was it? Who did I see on Twitter said take your time coming back.
Yeah, I think Scotty's got it right here, right? He's above the neck. Although I didn't see, I'd like to know what is it just a small cut in the hand? I mean, the minute I heard hand, I thought, wow, could that, not trying to be overly dramatic, but that could really affect you the way you're holding the club.
Yeah.
Where, what, I don't know anything about it.
I don't, well, I'm only going off second, is that it was, I'm holding my hand up for anybody not listening, that it was the person that said it was right hand, it was in the palm, kind of
Hmm.
across the lifeline. I don't know. I'm just speculating. That's what one person relayed to me. And that it was only the couple of, like a couple of small pieces that they couldn't get, but whatever.
Oh, he'd
It's,
start beating everyone lefty if he had to.
well, just, I mean, now the claw grip becomes, even more important potentially. That's the remarkable thing. Like Tiger, although Tiger did it with his full swing, Tiger kept reinventing himself to be maintain his level of excellence. And I think you said it last, one of you two guys said it, three guys said it last week, is it's like he reinvents himself and finds a way to take it back to either the next gear or elevate. And that's what's remarkable about the guy. So,
Yeah.
so here's the question, Andy Hydorn. Anybody else, and I know it's a crapshoot, that you can think of that may stand out this season for any reason that you think maybe just somebody's going to jump up? Is it going to be a John Rahm, a Morikawa, is Spieth back? Because apparently he's healthier. Who do you think's going to have a great 2025?
I mean, I think Rory is. I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but
Well, I'll take it, but I mean, you've picked him in all four majors, so.
I mean, it's kind of hard to pick who's going to emerge from, like the Wyndham Clarks of the world and those guys who emerge from, kind of the group of everybody into an elite player. But yeah, you never know. I mean, it's always going to be somebody. Could be somebody like Sahith Theegala, right?
Yeah,
Somebody like that.
Dude, there's a guy I think that's not good. I mean, I think he's about to take his game to another level also.
that was one I was going to say. I was going to say Aaron Rai too, or Akshay. Um, I mean, there's some guys. JT. I mean, he's starting to come around too. All he needs to do is win something, and it's off to the races, I think.
Bobby?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, literally crossed my mind earlier, like, who could, that phrase, who could be the breakout star for 2025? I mean, it is really, really tough. And sometimes if it's a Wyndham Clark that just wins that big event, gets over the mental hump, I think, I don't know. I was trying to think of that earlier. I have to study and see, maybe look at some of the data, but somebody will probably come out of the pack that just has a great 25, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, people want to see that person now. I do think Rory. I don't know. Yeah, I got a feeling JT ends up having a good year, works through whatever issues he got. I think Rory's going to make a statement again.
So let's spin this in a different direction. 2024 evolution of technology and innovation in the game. You guys are uh, big in teaching from that component, and Andy is Mr. Technology, as we know. Andy's just everything. Um, how is tech? Well, you're the one that's getting into Twitter wars and excuse me, TikTok wars with. Yeah, yeah. The teaching people in the game, swing people are they're beasts out there, aren't they, Andy? Um, Innovation continues to influence the game. Golf's no exception. It's evolving rapidly. What two tools, gadgets that are out there do you think introduction of cutting edge BE, AI driven swing analysis? What's some things? Let's spur that conversation.
All that stuff is great, and it'll continue to evolve. And I'm not saying this just because Andy's part of our crew, but what he's working on is interesting because the mental side is what, like we said it with Scottie. What separates Scottie is from the neck up, and you can dissect a swing a million different ways, but that's not what gets the job done, no matter what level of a player you are. It's self belief. It's tracking how you play. It's using that data to evolve as a player. And, I know what Andy's working on right now, and I don't know if he wants to talk about it, but it's it's pretty cool.
We're gonna put that in on the back corner, back shelf, back burner, and when AH is ready to roll that out, he is given priority seat at the table to discuss.
Stay tuned.
Yes, teaser already. But Andy, cutting edge golf tech AI, more advancements in club designs. I mean, give us some. I joke. I was trying to joke, but I mean, you follow all the social media, and you're out there in the teaching world a lot.
Yeah,
What is the banter that's out there right now?
so I don't believe in like great steps in the evolution of equipment at this stage of the game. I think there's a lot of great stuff out there that technology has allowed the manufacturers to play on a level playing field and produce incredible equipment. So I don't think there's anything that's going to happen there. I do feel like the opportunity for golf coaches to get more data and to be able to understand and link their data to what's going on in the golf swing has been a huge advancement. So things like ground force measurements, things like ball flight measurements with the launch monitors. Certainly the AI or the 3D biomechanical stuff with Sportsbox and some of those other companies too, I think is really made those coaches who care to know more and left a lot of coaches in the dust because they're, you know, grumpy old get off my yard coaches that say, "Oh, we don't need that stuff." And I agree that there's some faction of people who teach the game that rely too much on that. But man, if you're not willing to look and see what's out there and available to you so that you can learn more about how to relay that stuff to your students, then you're missing the boat. I just think that the advancements in that area have been so vast. Like I said, in you know, launch monitors and body movements, all that stuff. It's been super innovative, and there's a lot of coaches that really have a greater understanding of what makes, a golf swing work.
Bobby?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was at a indoor simulator business today, and somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, this AI instruction is going to put you out of business." I said, "I don't think so," but that was an interesting comment, kind of germane to what we're talking about. But yeah, in 2025 and beyond, I think AI in instruction as a bucket, AI in um, golfer data, interpreting the data, engaging with the customer, specific marketing with AI. I think that's going to be a little bit stronger. I think obviously the AI and things like that on agronomy, which I don't know if you say AI, but robotic mowers out there and things like that. So it's coming into the business big time. But I was struck by that. It was literally today at this indoor place. Um,
That that's that is the most uneducated comment that that person would make, to not understand what a uh, PGA golf professional does in helping students develop and learn the game.
If that's the case, we don't need doctors then, right?
Of course not. Well, that's why you got WebMD.
Right.
Somebody put all that information on the web and you can self-diagnose, Andy.
Yeah, and
but
and
you know what? Well,
go
I
ahead.
had a quick question for Andy though, because he's lived a life on more of the golf companies. At some point, and I think tried to said it, Andy, in the last year or two, I talked to somebody with one of the big companies, and because I said there's been monumental technology improvements for the golf ball and clubs and everything. Is there any more monumental improvements, or are we at the micro that marketing is going to try to spin bigger? But I mean, do you think we've hit this spot where little improvements versus the bigger deal?
Yeah, I think technology has allowed companies to figure it out, right? Where before, back when I was working at Callaway and we were working on the original Big Bertha that was, you know, 1.5 times the size of the current metalwoods out there. And it looked like a monster and now looks like a baby 3 wood compared to some of the stuff out there now.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was guessing. It was engineering, but it was guessing too, right? They didn't have the technology and design like they have today. So, if you had a great engineer at Callaway, which we did, like all the other companies have the same access now, right? It's not a person that's doing this. It's a whole system of information and it's all available to everybody now. So yeah, I don't
I,
see any.
I'm gonna digress into a quick story. So it's funny you talk about just guessing and what have you. Um, you guys are familiar with SST, right? Club Puring. So Dick Weiss, who founded that, was a very accomplished amateur golfer in South Florida and literally had two drivers, the exact same drives. He couldn't figure out why he hit one differently than the other one. So he literally, the engineer and him took it apart and was measuring why one club acted differently than the other club and where the point of the shaft was. And today it's all computers that are just breaking it down. That innovation is lost. But
Yep.
yeah.
Even the manufacturing, right? Like back then, the manufacturing technology to wind a graphite shaft was such that those things made a huge difference. Well, now the specs for producing that type of product is so much tighter and so much more consistent that again, technology helps so much in those areas, and it allows for an even playing field where in the past it was, if you had a superstar in your company, you're going to get ahead. Look what Karsten was.
Garage.
Yep.
Yeah. And Bobby, I don't want to let your comment go about just the from the golf sustainability component of it, but I mean the new eco-friendly course designs, grasses. I
Yep.
mean, you go to California or actually earlier, I think it was this year or 23, the water restrictions that were placed in Denver and they had to come up with new grasses that were more sustainable when
Yeah.
it's been proven that golf courses actually use probably less water than, John Doe homeowners sitting there, certainly chemicals. The chemical containment is better at golf courses than is the Yahoo out there spraying Roundup into the waterways. I mean, anyway, I digress,
I
Mr.
got
Yes,
two quickies.
save
I
me from
just was
myself.
thinking collaboration is huge as we go forward in the future. You're seeing a ton of that now. You got
Yes.
all these tech companies that are seeing how their piece of technology can work with another piece of technology or training aid or whatever. And two, golf golf coaches are not just on their little perch on the range anymore. The availability to work with anybody anywhere in real time is fascinating to me because I
Well,
think we're
let
players.
me just say this about that with a little shameless self-promotion of Mr. BE. I mean, live streaming, social media, being able to give a lesson remotely. I mean, dude, you've changed your whole business model in that.
Well, it's
A new component of your business model.
everybody evolves, right?
Right.
And this is just 2.0, 3.0, whatever you want to call it. I started in the business like Bobby and everybody else that got into it, working your way up in the shop, but golf is so diverse and you don't really learn that until you've been in there for a while of all the tentacles that go out that you could find your way in and it's just I'm really intrigued by sharing my experiences in a different way now and working with a different level of junior player.
Andy, the only thing that didn't involve was my shoulder turn.
But it's funny, like
No, my
to that
shoulder turn's
point,
not funny, Andy.
no, it's not funny. Especially for you, it's not funny. Maybe to others it is.
Okay, I can laugh.
But to Brendan, to your point, I see some of the kids that you post online doing some stuff. Like all this access to technology has made a lot of these kids just have unbelievable golf swings. Like there's so much out there right now that allows these kids to develop at a rate faster than ever before. And you know, they used to talk about, well, that guy grew up, he has a caddy swing or whatever, right? And because people develop their golf games, if you had a head pro that taught at your club, then okay, there was no technology, there was no nothing. And now it's just unbelievable how some of these kids develop themselves or get developed by coaches that are educated and in the know about how to swing a golf club. It's pretty amazing.
I agree. All right, so that's what I got. That was on my notes for the week. My question, actually, to each of you, what story am I missing from 2024 that was the most impactful in your opinion? And I'm not going to put Bobby on the hot seat because I do that first all the time. Andy?
I mean, Grayson Murray
Yeah.
Yeah.
is pretty damn impactful, and uh, it just, the more you learn about him, the more sad it is to know that, here's a guy that's playing golf for a living, made 5 million bucks plus in that current year, and just succumbed to depression.
Hmm.
Sad.
BE?
I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think that a spinoff of Live, it was a big story this year, is guys being able to showcase themselves in a different way, like what Bryson did with using YouTube and social media. I think it's really changing the landscape, and I don't know how the PGA Tour is going to handle all this, but you can see them going in that direction. I think they started a committee for uh, the PGA Tour started some committee, Bobby, for influencers or
Yeah,
something. Brought some of those guys in,
yeah.
and that what they did that Wednesday before the Tour Championship. You're going to see more of that, and I think that's really going to open the floodgates in many different ways for young, inspiring pros coming up, or us as fans getting to see a look under the hood like we've never seen before with Netflix, with social media, with YouTube. That's exciting to me.
Don't you? I mean, isn't that reinventing the Brysons of the world that has embraced that? Isn't that reinventing themselves? And isn't it ironic that they set up a slush fund to reward players for social media impressions, but then they don't. They put the handcuffs on them on what social media impressions
Right.
they can put out there.
That's got to stop.
Bobby, your 2024 story. But
Yeah, actually, I had two in mind. Andy mentioned the one about Grayson Murray, but also because with what happened there, with what we were always talking about on this podcast, we have something we're starting in the Kentucky PGA with KVC Kentucky, which does a lot of family health services. They have mental health professionals. They're across the state, and we already had a PGA education seminar around this mental health, because PGA members and LPGA members on the front line with their staff, with their members, with the general public, giving golf lessons. And if we notice somebody say something or have a certain behavior, not to be overly dramatic, but I think we can save a life or two. And that just resonated with me, that I wanted to do something. And so for a PGA section, we're working with KVC Kentucky. We're going to hope, my plan is to take this national across all of the PGA sections. So more to come on that. But then also just, going back to the PGA Tour and Jay Monahan, and I, I know we kidded about it, but like, I still can't believe that guy has a job. The way things have evolved and all these missteps and just everything. And I don't know, just a whole ball of wax of the PGA Tour this year. It's just been really disappointing in that regard on the back end.
Okay, there you go. And you look ahead to 2025 before we get to the 18th green. BE, what are you hopeful for? What do you expect to see? Any prediction other than Rory's going to win all four majors?
I I'd love to see Rory get it done. I think Scottie's gonna continue his dominance, and I'm very hopeful that the PGA Tour can reconsider some of the changes they have to implement in 2026. I just think you're shutting out too many potential great stories for guys. So these limiting fields, we talked about it, I get it, but you're just closing the door on too many guys. You don't know where your next superstar is going to come from, and it's a shame.
Will Zalatoris.
Yep.
Yep. BB.
Okay, I got a few here. Some of them are 25, but we may have to look at 2028
Yes.
Ooh.
down the road, if you know what I'm going here. But I got a few. One is, so when the Champions Tour started, when the Senior PGA Tour started, and it was like you need to win in the first 5 years, and then Hale Irwin showed no, you can still be into your 60s or still winning, and now Longer is winning at 67. So it's either going to be Bernhard in 3 years, or somebody's coming along where they'll be winning in their 70s. So somebody's going to be 70 years old holding that trophy. I guarantee it. The
Yep.
way health, fitness, wellness has come along, and maybe a late bloomer. You never know. So that's one thing. The TGL League.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see where that goes. I tell you what. Every time I talk to somebody, they go, "I want to see an end because I'm curious, like an accident on the side of the road." But is that going to have longevity? Is that going to be around in a few years? So that's one of the things. The other thing is more in the admin. So the PGA America has a new CEO coming in, Derek Sprague, longtime friend. I've talked to him already. I think Derek is the right person that can help. We'll get him on the podcast here. The new CEO that'll be coming in the LPGA. Mike Wan is with the USGA. The Augusta National got Fred Ridley, so you got all the main biggies. I know there's the NGCOA. We've had Jay Karen on, great guy. The golf course superintendents, Red Evans. So all these main CEOs now, it just hit me the other day. They're all, you could call contemporary. They're not too many guys are too old. They're obviously Jay Monahan is still there right now. PGA Tour might have a new CEO. It just seems like it's a good chance for the industry to hopefully stay connected, to help the business grow, to help all things grow. I'm not going to say that stupid cliche that people throw around, but from the business side, I think it can be good and healthy that hopefully this new influx of some leadership can do good for the game.
Andy, 2025. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to see a resolution to this LIV PGA Tour thing. Have it happen, be done with it, and move on. Because I think it's been way too long. It's been way too much speculation, way too much, shit slinging back and forth. It's time for it to end.
I concur. All right, boys. 18th. I'll tell you what I want in 2025. I forgot to throw that in there. I want to see Christian again.
Yeah.
Huh? Where's that guy?
He's MIA. He's Oglethorpe.
Huh? Hashtag,
Yeah,
where's Christian?
We're
We're gonna start. You know what?
Where in the world?
He's gonna listen to the podcast. He's gonna text us because really, guys. But I'm gonna put in our social post hashtag where's Christian.
Yes.
We know where he's at. He's partying down in Hilton Head right now.
No, you need to put. We know where Ogletree is, but we don't know where Nazamus is.
All right, 18th green. Just don't steal mine, Andy. What do you got?
I guarantee you, I'm not stealing yours this
All
time.
right.
Guarantee. So we mentioned a couple of the social media groups that we all follow and we're on and sometimes interact with, right? I somehow came upon this 100 greatest golf course group. Um, Pretty interesting. And this time of year, a lot of people talk about which courses they played this year, which were great, and spawn some conversations about, which states have the best golf courses. And I want to put an end to this conversation right now because I will tell you straight up that Pennsylvania has the best set of golf courses
I
in
agree.
the country. So, obviously Marion and Oakmont have held multiple majors, but you look in the Philly area, you got Aronimink, Philly Cricket, you got Philly Country Club, you got Rolling Green, you got Huntington Valley. You go up north a little bit, you got Saucon Valley, which in my opinion is the best private golf club in the country. They have three great golf courses at Saucon Valley.
Scranton.
You got Mazzellum Springs up there.
Mhm.
You go in the middle of the state, you got Lancaster Country Club and Hershey. You go out west, you got Fox Chapel, Pittsburgh Field Club, Laurel Valley. I mean, case closed. Pennsylvania is rich with fantastic golf courses. And I know people want to talk about New York and California and Florida. Nah, sorry. Nobody can touch.
They had that argument across the Delaware between Jersey and oh, we got Pine Valley. Well, okay.
PA's the king.
I I I have made that argument with folks locally many times.
Are you glad I didn't steal your
I'm
thunder?
I'm I'm hopeful that the other two are not going to either. BE, what you got?
Well, you none of you can steal mine because
Okay, good.
next year, 2025, I turn 50, which means I can start playing up in our section. The clubs are going to have the dust taken off them. I'm going to play. I've already got a guy, a fellow PGA member that's pegged me for playing pros with him, and I can't back out on him. So 50, 63, 6,400 yards. Here we come.
Attaboy.
And that's long. Bobby,
I got a couple here.
don't if one of them's stealing mine, then I'm upset.
Well, stop me if I steal one. One is just it was interesting. Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out,
Jesus
and
Christ.
Oh man, I knew it.
but I think I have something here I can talk. Well, my thing was it's interesting. Some people are commenting on the golf instruction, like the golf swing of Adam Sandler, how he's not swinging as free as he was. Well, it's 30 years ago. So I just thought that was kind of funny. I'd like to see the movie, but I've got people critiquing his golf swing versus taking in the movie. I thought that was hilarious. Anyways, the other thing is, more now about slow play. Slow play has been around since the beginning of golf.
Yep.
I don't feel anything will ever change with slow play. There's been task force. I've been part of those things. I've been part of working with Barney Adams for Tia Ford. Everything in the world, I used to have high hopes for slow play. I don't think we'll see slow play cured in my lifetime. But I will end things with Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you play golf this year. I hope you play more golf this year. And I hope you have the great attitude to enjoy the game and take it for what it is.
So I was just simply going to say, in case you hadn't heard this one before, Happy Gilmore will be coming out soon. I've had the pleasure of meeting a couple of times. Christopher McDonald, when he attended, came down and donated his time to a charity event that I was involved in. And he is just the coolest dude you want to hang out, have a beer with, and talk about his Buffalo Bills. And I can't wait to watch it. I mean, it was filmed actually in New Jersey at a public track, Andy. But anyway, so Bobby, appreciate you taking that from me.
No, I queued it up for you. Beat it up.
You did. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We'll see you in 2025, everyone. Thank you for listening as always.